Welcome into the podcast today. My name is Ashton, and today we have a guest speaker with us, my brother Aiden.
Hi, this is Aiden Bakers. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, thank you for coming on and being a part of this. So today we're going to be talking about Aiden a little bit, talking about some high school basketball stuff with him, and then we will get into our top five. And then we'll break down a few series of players of playoff series, the Portland Trailblazers and the Lakers, and then all those series. A couple of them we'll break down. So, all right, AJ. So, you're a junior in high school. To give everybody kind of a height differential between me and you, I'm 5'7", you're 6'5". Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you're a junior this year at Veritas. Tell us a little bit about what you expect for your basketball season coming up here soon.
Well, last year we didn't fulfill all of our things that we were hoping to do last year. So this year we have all of our returning starting five. So we're hoping to make a run for state, second or third this year. That's my expectations. I'm hoping to win state, but there's some really good teams in our league. So.
Nice. Well, do you happen to know your stat line if you remember it from last year?
Last year I started the year off pretty well. I think I only averaged like 7 points last year, around 2 assists and around 4 rebounds, shooting 45% from 3. So.
All right. Well, nice. So, the top 5 players in the bubble. Overall, we're going to talk about overall. My top 5 as of right now, I thought about this a little bit last night. I would have to say T.J. Warren is my number 5. He had a really hot start. He had a 50-point game and then a 30-point game, but Jimmy Butler and the Heat kind of brought him down back to earth a little bit, and also injury kind of plagued him as well. I would have to say number 4 is Jimmy Butler because he's been going off defensively in the first game against the Pacers and in the regular season game that they played in the bubble as well. He kind of just has been taking over and has been doing really well. Number 3, I would have to say this one skipped me. I would have to go with Anthony Davis. He's been pretty good. Even though he didn't have the greatest game in this last playoff game where he looked a little iffy at times, I'll admit that. But outside of that, he's been doing pretty well, I think. Number 2, I will go with Devin Booker, and he's been doing pretty well. And number 1, I think, is Damian Lillard, for sure. Damian has been going off. Dame time, the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter in game 1 just absolutely went off, and his whole team rallied around him to 193 win against the Lakers. So what's your top 5 in the bubble?
At number 5, I would definitely have to go with T.J. Warren. You know, the 50-point game, it's hard to just surpass that one. And then number 4, I'm saying Michael Porter Jr. I think he surprises everyone there. And then number 3, I definitely got to go with Giannis, just how consistent he is with everything. And then number 2 is definitely Devin Booker, you know, going 8-0 in the bubble. You can't overlook that at all. And then definitely Dame time for number 1.
Yeah, all right. Different variation. I like it. All right. So Portland Trailblazers and the Lakers, we're going to talk about that first. So from what I saw in that first game, the second game they'll play tonight, but the Lakers kind of they lack the shooting. Let's just say that for sure. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP, went 0 for 9 from the field as a role player. 2 for 8 for Alex Caruso. That was not the greatest. And, I mean, it just I was really hoping that Dion Waiters would have played a little bit more. He played a couple minutes, and that was kind of it. And for the Lakers, their guards, they don't match up well against the Trailblazers guards at all. They kind of are. They rank 23. The Lakers do 23 in 3-point shooting in the league, and 23rd in the league. That's kind of that's iffy. So they really have inconsistent shooting. The last 5, 6 to 7 minutes of the game last a couple nights ago, um, they they couldn't buy a bucket from 3-point land. Kyle Kuzma got one, and it was that Kyle Kuzma and LeBron, and that's kind of all I saw from the last few minutes. 3-point wise, they they don't really have a plan to stop them defensively, and I mean, there's really no plan to stop Damian Lillard. It's just do your best and give it your best, I guess. But they you really have to get up on him when he's taking that turn, when he's coming off screens and stuff. He's gonna he's gonna launch it. I tell you. And is there anything that you would like to add? Or?
Yeah, I would just like to say that you know, obviously like they don't have the best matchups and everything, and Anthony Davis and LeBron's plus minus was really bad. But I'm assuming that's definitely because of the matchups and who they're guarding. And then, you know, LeBron, I wouldn't say he had the best game. You know, what do you have, like 26 points, 24 points?
23.
23, okay.
And 15 rebounds and 17 rebounds, 15 or 16 assists.
Okay,
so.
Well then I stand corrected.
Yeah.
He had a very good game. But yeah, his plus minus wasn't the greatest just because bad matchups and everything like that. That's all I really got.
But he didn't have the greatest game shooting. But Hassan Whiteside, I said in the last podcast, he is a shot blocker. He's the leader in shot blocking. He averages 3 blocks a game, 5 blocks in the game in game 1. I tell you, the man is blocking everything that's coming in the paint. And Anthony Davis. So I said this a little bit earlier. Anthony Davis just kind of seemed lost. He wasn't in rhythm. Where I think he should be, and I've seen Jalen Rose say this, and I totally agree. He should get in the paint because he's going. What the Portland Trailblazers are not great at is getting the defensive rebounds. They're not great at that. They're not a great rebounding team. So Anthony Davis could thrive off of getting second, third, fourth, fifth opportunities. Dwight Howard was doing that. He was getting those opportunities for the Lakers, and Anthony Davis is gonna have to get in the paint. He's taking. I saw he was taking 3-point shots, and I was like, "What is he doing?" And I think he would really live in the mid-range to around the basket, and I think that's his game right there. And he's gonna thrive off of that. And who else has been thriving? Well, Dallas Mavericks and the Clippers, they have been thriving. That series, if you haven't been checking into that series, if you don't know what's going on, Porzingis in the first game, he was playing really well. He wasn't the greatest on defensive pick and rolls, but outside of that, he was doing great. And early, kind of mid to third quarter, he got ejected. He got he got 2 technical fouls. His first one was kind of really stupid. He was really complaining because on one end of the floor, he got fouled and kind of got his shot blocked. But then he goes down on the other end and blocks Paul George, but they call a foul on him, and it was like a clean block. And so he was he was throwing his fists and that, but just in the air in general, he wasn't throwing them at anybody. But they were complaining. He was complaining, and then he got a technical foul, and then he was like, "What the heck?" And then the secondary technical foul came later in the third quarter, where Luka was trying to get to the rim. The play was over. Marcus Morris, I believe, was all over him, and Luka was just pushing him off, and then Luka and Morris were talking, and then Porzingis came in and pushed Morris, and that drew the second technical foul, and that's why he got ejected in the first game. And then the Clippers kind of took over that game, and
yeah, the Mavs were leading that.
Yeah, and ironically, to start off the game, the Clippers had a 18-2 lead, and they blew that, and the Mavs came right back in it, and Luka's been looking great. He's like, this is technically, he's already played 2 playoff games, and you wouldn't even, like, you would think that he's like a 3 to 4 year veteran.
Yeah, he's already setting records and everything.
Yeah, because he's looking really good. And Mavs. So this series is tied now 1-1, and the Mavs, for 6 out of the 8 quarters, they have led in this series, and so the Clippers right now defensively are kind of just in no man's land, and kind of they're trying to find someone to match up well enough to guard Porzingis, and there's really no answer for Luka, and
Porzingis is a 7-foot guard that can go to the rim at will and shoot over anyone. So
yeah,
it's a hard matchup for anyone.
Exactly, and it also helps too when your role players are making shots and can hit everything. So that's what we're liking there, and so the Clippers have kind of been a disappointment, and as of right now, they've been kind of lacking defensively. So I expect them to pick it up, and you know who also is disappointing? The Bucks and the Magic. The Magic pulled up an upset in Game 1, and that was kind of interesting. I expected the Bucks to sweep the Magic. I kid you not. I think that was my prediction in the last podcast, that the Bucks would sweep the Magic, but if not, at least get one game, and I think the Magic got their one game. And but the Bucks, they had 10 guys on the court. 10 all, like, out of everybody on their bench. Like, usually I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast yesterday, and he was like, usually you have like 7 to 9 guys that you usually play in your playoff rotation. Well, they had 10 guys. That's like that's not really the greatest idea, and usually you would want your best 7 out there constantly, and that's what Portland was doing in the Lakers series. So, and the Bucks, their center, the Magic, their center was going off. He was hitting the 3-point line. He was shooting it well from 3. He was getting others involved. He was getting to the rim at will. He was drawing fouls, getting and ones. I mean, he was doing it all for the Magic. Vipachuch, I believe that's his name.
Vucevic, I think.
Vucevic, that's what it is. And he was just doing it all, and DJ Augustine was helping him a lot as well, scoring the ball, and the Bucks just kind of looked out of sync, and the Bucks had every opportunity in this game to pull away and to do well offensively and defensively. They weren't executing, and again, matchups is kind of what Orlando was doing, and scheme-wise, it was just a great scheme all the way around defensively on what they were doing with Giannis, just making him shoot 3-point shots, and he would make a couple, yeah, and then he would just get cold, and then he would also make the kind of the game plan and scheme wise was make the others um, make the other guys on out there on the court and beat the Magic, and usually the Bucks are pretty well in transition. They only got 12 transition points, which is kind of a low for them. They're kind of in the 30s to 45 range. That's kind of where they go from defense to offense, and that's kind of how they roll away and steamroll teams. Pretty much how they do. So, any thoughts on?
Yeah, well, Giannis played. I thought didn't play a bad game at all, but I didn't think Chris Middleton helped him enough to win the game at all, or even Brooke Lopez. That's their
center.
Sorry, the brothers. Yeah, he didn't play too well either. So.
All right, well, Orlando's leading this series 1-0. So they've been the Magic. They pulled off the upset, and there's really no upset in this upcoming series that either team could win. Utah and Denver, either series I think can win that, and that Utah and Jazz and the Denver Nuggets, that series is tied 1-1, and they the Jazz managed to squeeze by last night. Donovan Mitchell has been playing really well. Donovan Mitchell, that was my third guy. But Donovan Mitchell, he had a 57-point game in Game 1. They managed to lose that game because Denver's Jamal Murray has been going. He went off in Game 1 too, scoring 30 points, and when Michael Porter Jr. has been doing really well too. He's been shooting it well from 3, and Michael Porter Jr. is not the same guy that he was earlier in the season, not by a long shot. He's probably one of the more improved players. He's kind of like a Devontae Graham per se, where he's really like last year didn't do the greatest. Well, Michael Porter Jr. didn't play all that much last year, but this first part of the season, he was doing all right. He wasn't the greatest, but now he's kind of defined himself into that starting role per se, and doing really well. They're kind of the Denver Nuggets are really good, and I like them because Jokic, he's doing really well, and Jamal Murray's doing pretty well as well, and that's just kind of a three-headed monster right there, and it's something you really don't want to mess with in the playoffs. And Paul Millsap, he's doing all right for the Nuggets, and the Jazz. Michael Conley was not there in Game 1. He'll most likely be there for Game 3 or Game 4. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But first couple games he missed. He's back in the bubble now, and he just his wife gave birth to their daughter, I believe, and so that's why he missed a couple games. And Michael Conley is going to come in there and really help defensively and provide a little bit of offense. And so the Utah Jazz and the Mavericks, Utah Jazz and the Nuggets. That series is kind of it's going to be a close one. I think that goes 7. So,
I definitely say 7 too.
All right, and the last series that we were thinking about talking was the Houston Rockets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. That series, that could also go 7, but the Houston Rockets in Game 1 kind of just took over. Ben McLemore, you know that name? That's a former KU player. Shout out to him. That was his first playoff game, and he he went off for 15 points.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have thought of that.
Role player, yeah.
Yeah, he's just kind of a role player. He's their best 3-point shooter. That's what I heard from the commentator. Um, and you know, I was really hoping Ben McLemore was going to be like the next Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. That was me, but I think that was pretty high hopes.
Oh yeah, no way.
Yeah, I was hoping for that, but I guess I'm just a KU fanatic, I guess, and just hoping for the best. But Houston Rockets, they kind of just mopped the floor with the Thunder.
Yeah.
But
even without Russell Westbrook.
yeah, even without him, just like I think he's going to come back and later in the series, even though they don't really need him as of right now.
James Harden's playing out of his mind. What do you have, like 30, 40 the other night?
Yeah, he had like, I think 36.
36, 37. Yeah.
36,
yeah,
37.
Chris Paul didn't play too well. Shy.
Yeah.
He didn't play well at all.
Yeah.
They're really good. Number 2, number 3, he didn't play well. So.
And usually what Oklahoma City is they're kind of a guard central team. So they have Chris Paul, Shea Gillis, Alexander. I think I may have screwed up his name. Dennis Schroeder. Those are kind of the 3 core guys that you'll mainly see from the guard spot out there for the Thunder, and they also have Steven Adams, who just is a big man.
Yeah.
And I think is kind of the mismatch for PJ Tucker, and so if you don't know, the Rockets kind of have their small lineup, so they went small in the trade deadline, and so they traded Clint Capella, which I thought that was a mistake, because I thought you at least needed one big man, and to at least help with defense, and it's also a shot blocker for you, and that's what he was, and provide a dunker spot, I guess per se. You could just lob it up to him, and nobody could stop. So, so what they're rolling with out there is their starting 5 is, and this is with Russell Westbrook in the lineup. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Robert Covington, PJ Tucker, and then kind of that 5th guy is kind of
it's iffy.
Iffy, and
switch it up a little.
They switch it up. I believe it's Daniel House. So, and PJ Tucker is kind of the center, and he's playing that center spot. And James Harden has been getting a lot of criticism in past years for his defense, but his defense, I was watching the game in and out, but when I was watching, James Harden was playing really good defense.
He's good on defense when
he wants to be. So that's kind of things that I was watching, and I was like, he's like, people say he sleeps on the defensive end, but not really. When he turns it on, it's kind of a LeBron James kind of ordeal, where when LeBron's like, he'll sleep on certain days, but when he really wants to turn it on, he'll turn it on.
I bet tonight in this Lakers and Blazers series, I bet he goes off for 35. That's my prediction.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
And I think for the that series, both of them are going to have to go off for 30 every night. But going back to the Rockets and Thunder series, for the Thunder to have any type of hope, they're going to have to shoot well from 3, and they're going to have to defend the role players pretty well on the 3-point line, and just hope that they have one of their Golden State and versus Rockets type of nights where they go 0 for 30 from the 0 for 30 from the 3-point line. So that's kind of what the Rockets game plan probably is, and I'm wanting to hear what are your predictions for all of those series. So the first series is the Portland Trailblazers and the Lakers.
I see it going to 6. I think I got the Lakers in 6. I think that Lakers win tonight, and then Lakers also win Game 3, and then I think Blazers will take Game 4 to tie it up at 2, and then I think they take it to 6. Lakers take it to 6 and win from there.
Okay, I still say that I still say it goes to 7.
Really?
I think it'll just be I'll take this game. Oh, you'll take the next game. Oh, I'll take this game. Oh, you'll take the next one. I think that's what it'll go. Dallas and Clippers. I think I might have said 6 or 7. I'm probably gonna roll with 6 because right now the Clippers don't have an answer for Porzingis. Yeah. That's kind of a problem, and they're very defensive oriented and defensive minded type of team. The Clippers are, but they're not playing really all that well defensively. So, and Paul George is also the key.
He hasn't been playing well.
At all. He didn't really play all that great last night. He was in foul trouble for most of the night, and when he did get on the court, he would get a technical foul. So, it just Paul George has to be reliable and has to put up big numbers for the Clippers to do well.
Yeah, his shooting wasn't well at all last night either.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. So I say this is going out on a limb here. I'm gonna go ahead and still take the Clippers in 6.
Really?
I'm gonna go ahead and take them in 6. I think Paul George will correct it, but we'll see it after Game 3. We'll see after Game 3.
Yeah.
But Bucks and Magic.
Bucks and Magic. Oh, that's 5 games. There's no way the Bucks win. There's no way the Bucks lose again. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think it goes 5 as well. 6 at the very most.
Yeah.
But Bucks will definitely win. Utah and Denver.
I think Jazz in 7. I think once Mike Conley gets back, I think he's a big game changer for him. Definitely on the defensive end. I could be wrong because three-headed snake, like you said, for the Nuggets, they're really good. So.
Yeah. I say the Denver in 7. I really think it'll go 7 games, and we'll just see. Three-headed monster, like I said, and that's kind of the key. If they can get all 3 of those guys rolling in game, that I don't think that even with Mike Conley coming back, I don't think Mike Conley could stop Jamal Murray or at least contain him. But and then Houston Rockets versus the Thunder.
I think Houston in 5.
Houston in 5.
Yeah.
Houston in 5. Okay. I think I said this series goes 7.
Really?
I think that's what I said on my last podcast, and I said the Rockets would go in 7, but I say the Rockets in 6. I'm willing to go take that into that. So, all right. Okay. Well, thank you, A&J, for being a part of our podcast today.
Of course. Thanks for having me out.
Yeah, I think it was really fun, and it switches things up a little bit. And I hope to have you on as more podcasts come along and see if you're a regular on this show or not. So, thank you guys for listening to the podcast today. We are on multiple platforms, so we are on YouTube, Spotify. It's if you were to look it up, it's at the Ashton Baker Podcast. So it's the first one that pops up on Spotify, and same thing for YouTube pops up. For YouTube, like and subscribe. Please leave me any comments that you have, anything that you're wanting to hear, or any criticism that you're wanting to give, thinking that you can make the podcast better. I'm willing to and listening to open to suggestions. So working on some things. I know I'm not perfect. So thank you guys, and have a great rest of your night.